to show you two things ChatGPT can do now that I don't think most people or most business owners are using yet. One is called skills and the other is called scheduled task. On their own, each is useful, but together they are much more effective. They're the difference between ChatGPT answering a question when you ask it and ChatGPT actually going to do the task on its own while you're doing other things in the business. I'll show you how to set it up and then I'll show you three actual things you can build with them. Hi, I'm Abi. I'm your AI automation specialist that helps your business generate more revenue while improving efficiency. So, first, skills. What exactly is a skill and how do we get to use one in ChatGPT? A skill is a reusable instruction. So let's say you give ChatGPT a task to do and it does that task to a favorable conclusion. You can take that conversation you had with ChatGPT and turn it into a skill. So next time when you want ChatGPT to do that task, you just tell ChatGPT, do this task, and the particular skill you created will be invoked to perform that task. That's basically what a skill is. So how do you get to where the skill feature is? You click on plugin here. Once you click on plugin, if you look at the top, you will see plugin, you will see skill. So you only need to toggle this for you to get to where the skills are. And that is it. So for every time you want to run that skill, you just give ChatGPT that instruction. In this case, I wanted it to file the to-dos I have written in Slack. So what this particular skill does is it reads the to-do and then adds it to another file location which I had specified. So if I open this up now, you would see how the skill is. And what I did was to give it a name. I gave it a description and then I told it exactly what to do. So what it does is that it files the to-do items from my Slack into a Google Sheet. And then I walked it through the steps it needed to take to do the task. So now I don't need to repeat myself. So all I need to do is to input the to-dos into my Slack like I usually do. And this skill will go there and then take it all up and drop it in the Google Sheet I have specified. Another thing is if you have a well-defined standard operating procedure in your office and you've identified the areas where AI can actually, you know, do the work, you can turn that SOP into a skill. So that subsequently, anytime you want to run that process, the skill that you created can be invoked to carry out that process again and again. But it's very useful for you if you have a task that you do regularly. Now, so how do you create the skill? You come here to this plus sign, and then you can either create it by chatting with ChatGPT, telling it what you want the skill to do. So you would explain what you want the skill to do, and ChatGPT will create the skill for you. Another way you can create the skill is to do it the way I did this one by giving it my own instruction. So if you click on this, you see where you would put the name of the skill, you would describe what it does, and then give it your instructions and save. Once you create it, the skill starts running. That's basically it. Then a third one is for you to upload from your computer. So let's say in the case of the SOP I spoke about, you could upload your SOP from your computer and then turn it into a skill. And so once you've created it, it runs on demand every time you want ChatGPT to perform the related task. Now, scheduled task. That's the second bit I said I was going to explain. And this is the one that actually amplifies the whole thing. So normally you have to open ChatGPT, type one thing, and then you get an answer. But what scheduled task does for you is that you can tell ChatGPT to run a particular task at a particular time of day or at a specified frequency, and it will do it. It will just go and do it. So, and how do you get there? You just click on scheduled here and then you can set it up. Some of the things you can do are the things you've seen here. So, this is the one I created and it runs every hour because that's the minimum ChatGPT has put in place. The minimum you can do is hourly. That's the minimum frequency that exists. And these are examples of some of the things you can actually do with it. So you can tailor it to your own business use case. You can schedule it to pull up a report. You could schedule it to check your emails. But I'll be discussing about three use cases as we go. But what I want to even just tell you is that if you now put a skill and a scheduled task together, what you would have is like a team. You have a team that does particular jobs in your organization like clockwork forever until you turn it off. So if you check this one, you would see that it's actually running a skill that I have created. So it's going to read my Slack channel and then pick some specified messages there and help me go and save it in a file location. So this is a combination of a scheduled task and a skill. I had created the skill and I wanted ChatGPT to run that skill at a specified time. And you can see it does it every hour. And when should it end it? Never. So, like I said, until you turn it off. So, I can put a date to it to say this is when it should stop. And I can decide that it should just keep running. So, they've given us some templates here. So, if we want to start, you can start with the templates, and then work your way up to other use cases that are peculiar to your business. So let's talk about some of the relevant use cases where these two features will be applicable. The first is inbox triage. So I see that most business owners open their emails in the morning and then they have maybe like 50 emails, even more than that. And most of those emails don't need them. Maybe it's just about three or four or five of them that needs the business owner. And most times you have to read everything to be able to find those three. And by the time you finish, you've lost about 2 to 3 hours and you haven't started the day's work. So here is what I would tell it. I could tell ChatGPT that every morning at 7 a.m., read the emails that came in overnight and pull out anything that is asking me a question or has a deadline or is from a client, and that you should write a short list to a particular document or maybe ping it to me on Slack or any other place where I would prefer to read those messages instead of actually going through that laundry list of emails. I would also tell ChatGPT that if there is nothing urgent, say so. And the reason why I'm telling it to say this is because if you don't tell it what to do when there is nothing urgent, it can invent something. And that way you stop trusting it. You want it to be able to tell you when there is nothing urgent. Once you say that, you can now just save that particular scheduled task. One thing I must say is that for ChatGPT to read your email in that scheduled task, you must have connected your email. How do you do that? Let me show you very briefly. So you come to plugins here, and then you see the different tools. These are your everyday tools that you can connect ChatGPT to. So in the case of Gmail, you click on plus. Once you click on plus, it will ask you to authenticate the connection between ChatGPT and that your email. So if I click on continue to Gmail, then it will ask me which of the emails I want to connect to OpenAI. So let's say I pick this one and then I click on continue. So it will, if I wanted to see the services that OpenAI is connected to, I can see it here. And then I click on continue. And then you see that this is connected already. So if you click on manage, you will see the different permissions that ChatGPT has with respect to your account. So you can see the things it can do in your Gmail here. And if you want to also choose when ChatGPT should ask for permission when using the Gmail plugin, you click here and then you can select whichever one works better for you. So that's how to connect your Gmail to ChatGPT. And you can do the same for all these other connectors too, all these other plugins. Yeah, it's called connectors in Claude, and that's why I'm saying connectors. But you have quite a laundry list of everyday tools that you can connect ChatGPT to. The second use case you can use ChatGPT skills and schedule tasks for are your weekly numbers. If you run any kind of business, you have numbers somewhere. It could be in your sheet, it could be in a dashboard, it just doesn't matter. And then maybe at a particular time in the week, you sit down and then you look at them, you review them, you want a little summary, whether you have new leads, sales, whatever your numbers are. It could be every Monday, it could be every Friday. So you can tell ChatGPT to actually go get those numbers and analyze them for you. That is an instruction that you have turned into a skill. You could say every Monday, read my sheet or my file named weekly numbers, compare this week's total to last week's total. Write a one paragraph summary. Flag anything that has dropped more than 20%. And if everything is normal, say so. Once you put that there, you just save it. That way, you already have a scheduled task every Monday based on that instruction you have given. Now, what I like about this one is that it's not making a decision for me, it's doing the reading and the summarizing for me, which is the annoying bit. But I still have the judgment bit. I still decide what to do. It means that I am deciding from a paragraph, not a spreadsheet that I have to, look at the numbers and then, keep browsing through. So that's the split that I would like you to keep in your head. Let it do the moving of the information, and then you will do the deciding part. The third one is one that I built for myself first, the one I showed you earlier, where I would message myself little things, read this, chase that, book that, make that booking. And at some point, I'll sit down and then review everything I've written and then write a list of it. That bit is annoying because I'm moving words from place to place. That's basically what it is. Now, what the skill does is it reads my notes where I've dumped them, and then it creates them into a sheet by category. That's basically it. So told it to read that my file location and pick anything that is starting with the specified phrase that I use to identify those my tasks. And then I also told it to put it in the right column. If it doesn't have any tag, I told it not to guess. It should put it in an unsorted column so that I can always look at it. And once I did that, I told it to run it at a specified time during the day, and it does it like clockwork. Now, that unsorted part helps me not to miss anything because you can put something that is unsorted in the wrong column if I did not specify that. But the fact that I've told it that anything that doesn't have any tag, you should place it in a particular place. I'm able to track it. That is the beauty of you having your skill run on schedule. That way, you're saving yourself time. You don't have to do the moving around. You only need to do the reviewing and make the judgment call. So, I just wanted to give a very small advice. If you take anything at all from this video, let it be this. Tell ChatGPT what to do when it doesn't know. In every instruction I give it, I tell it that if you're not sure, don't guess. Because guessing brings about hallucination. The trap with these things isn't that they miss stuff, is that they can put wrong answers in the right looking place confidently and you wouldn't check. It could be 6 weeks later that you're making a decision out of a list that was quietly wrong all this while. So make sure you put that statement there that if it is not sure, it should not guess. That way you're able to sift what it got right from what it did not know instead of it telling you confident lies. So, two more advice before you go. One, ChatGPT is only as good as what you tell it. So the reason why my instructions work is because I am specific. When you give it vague instructions, you get vague results. Two, check it for the first weeks. Actually look at what it has produced every day continuously. And after that, you would know whether you can trust it or not. If you decide to build one after this video, you can drop it in the comment section and I can just review it with you. And if there's any topic you would want me to treat, you can always drop it in the comment section as well. So that is it for today. If you liked this video or if it's been useful to you, like, share, comment. I make videos like this every week. And if you have any questions as well on anything I've said, drop it in the comment section as well. I'll address it. So that's it for now. Until next week, when I see you again. Bye for now.